On any given day, your focus is subjected to a violent division. A single reserve of morning attention is instantly fractured into dozens of competing directions, leaving you with weak, dissipating energy before the day has even really begun. When we hit this wall of exhaustion, we usually misdiagnose the cause. We convince ourselves that we have a time problem, that we simply need to wake up earlier or work faster. But our exhaustion actually stems from a lack of focused attention. We fall into the trap of believing that every possibility must be pursued. If an opportunity arises, we explore it. If a minor fear surfaces, we monitor it. We act as if our capacity for concern is as infinite as the internet itself. This impulse leads us to water too many different gardens at once. We split our finite reserves across competing goals, conflicting opinions, and an endless stream of digital distractions, hoping everything will somehow bloom simultaneously. Attempting to passively sustain every possible path does not create a rich, abundant life. It simply guarantees systemic exhaustion. Human desire is effectively infinite. We can want an endless number of outcomes. But the reality of our biology is dictated by strict, unyielding limits. This chart shows the inevitable conflict. You have a hard, non-negotiable limit on your physical energy and cognitive attention, represented by this flat horizontal line. But the curve of human desire rises exponentially above it. When your commitments breach this capacity line, your ability to function breaks down. This red zone represents an exhaustion deficit, a state where you are mathematically over-leveraged. Because our internal resources are strictly finite, choosing where to invest them is a fundamental requirement for survival. To protect the system, we have to decide what to starve. This brings us to the law of nourishment, the principle that whatever receives your direct attention gains strength and expands. This rule is biologically neutral. It applies to the things that produce beauty and the things that drain your resources. If you water a flower, it grows. If you water a weed, it grows just as fast. Your daily energy acts as an active architect of your life. As this loop shows, your focused attention triggers the expansion of specific habits or thoughts, which eventually stabilize into the future reality you inhabit. If attention is literal nourishment, we are entirely responsible for the psychological landscape we end up living in. We are the ones feeding the soil. Most of us unconsciously sustain internal habits that work against us: resentment, constant comparison, and a reflexive need for approval. We wonder why these fears dominate our lives, while failing to realize we feed them by revisiting old wounds and replaying past conversations. We are providing the very nourishment these insecurities need to survive. The math of concentration is absolute. Because your energy is finite, every yes you give to a distraction requires a hidden no to something meaningful. As this scale shows, allocation to one side is a permanent subtraction from the other. We must shift our internal operating question. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" a question that never ends, we must ask, "What actually deserves my care?" If you don't consciously assign your attention, you end up passively funding the mental habits that drain you. Real growth is often counterintuitive. It doesn't begin by adding more habits. It begins by aggressively subtracting what is unnecessary. To thrive, we must cut the expectations of others and the fears that have outlived their purpose. These resource drains must be severed. Starving these distractions frees up the vital resources required for your core purpose to finally flourish. Letting go is a strategic reallocation. It's the process of moving energy from things that fade to things that matter. The way you allocate your limited energy is the most honest declaration of what you actually value. When you choose to nourish your peace or your character instead of a passing distraction, you are making a practical judgment about your own worth. You are deciding that your future deserves those resources more than your regrets do. This choice transforms energy into an expression of love. It is the act of valuing your life enough to protect what makes it grow. Look at your mental landscape today. Ask yourself where your water is flowing. What occupies your mental space and receives your consistent care? Your future is built not by your infinite desires, but by the very few specific things you repeatedly choose to nourish. Choose carefully. Take care of your garden.